We slept in half an hour this morning since we don't expect our ride to come until about 7:30. Even sleeping in by half an hour, we anticipate getting to the rendezvous point half an hour early. Nothing bothered our stuff or us last night, and we're headed out of this Grouse Hill camp. This is a continuation of the closure of the PCT through the park. We've just popped out onto the regular PCT, but we can't continue. I don't really understand why this is closed though, because if the fire is off to the west, it didn't look to me like it was threatening this trail at all. But what do I know? They're using this parking lot that's normally Pacific Crest Trail like day hiker parking lot, but they're using it to stage their firefighting efforts. So we've got Forest Service over here, it looks like, National Park Service, fire, and then Loma Katsi Ecological Services trucks parked over here. There's nobody here. Maybe they'll show up a little bit later this morning. I don't know if we'll be here or not, but we're here at Shelter Cove. We got here earlier today, actually fairly early in the morning. Had some breakfast, found the PCT camper area, found what we thought was the PCT camper area, set up our tent, pretty miserable place, and then realized it was completely the wrong place. So we had to completely take the tent down and reset it up, but at least the right place is much more pleasant. And earlier today we could see out into the lake, but the smoke has just come in, so the wind must have changed. It's really quite smoky here right now. But this seems like a nice resort. Got RV spots. There's boating. There's room for boating slips where you can tie up your boat if you boat in. There's some games on the lawn. There's a bit of a food service operation. There's a bit of a food service operation, although their offering isn't huge. But it's a nice place from what we can tell so far. We just took a stroll around on the docks. This whole resort seems very well kept. It used to be in mom and pop type hands, and now it's owned by a corporation of some kind. They seem to be taking very good care of it. I wouldn't mind coming down here to stay sometime. The lake seems to mostly have trout-like fish in it, no bass. And I like fishing for bass. They might be easier to catch than trout, I don't know. But it is a very nice resort. It's open year-round. Apparently there's a lot of snow here, but people do come here because they're skiing in the area. This was the PCT camping area here at Shelter Cove. It's actually pleasant. There's tents scattered around. I think we're the first ones out, but we're getting close to being ready to hit the trail. A last look at Shelter Cove on Lake Odell in Oregon.
Shelter Cove was very kind to hikers. They have one of the nicest hiker areas that I've seen so far set up. Got this covered area, you've got a charging station, hiker boxes. Very nice. It's a really nice resort too. Well kept. But here we go. We're gonna head to Elk Lake now. So we've been going from one little lake resort to the next, and so far I think this one has been the nicest one and the most set up for hikers. They had a shower for $2. And they even supplied a towel. Most of these places don't do that. And supplied shampoo and soap. So yeah, very, very kind to the PCT hikers. Nice place, Shelter Cove. Some of the trees in here have fur on them. Covered in fur. Moss.
Wookie fur.
Wookie fur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of the Rosary lakes, the lower Rosary Lake. I think there's 3. And we're planning on eating breakfast by the upper one, but it's really buggy. So I don't know how comfortable we'll be sitting and eating, but we got to do it sometime. So I guess we'll just put bug spray on and muscle through it. Very pretty lake. Sometimes we come to these lakes in the mountains and they've got a lot of downed trees along the shore, or a lot of vegetation, and it's really kind of hard to get to the water, but this is very easy to get to the water. It's really a pretty lake.
We have just stopped for our second breakfast. It's about 9:35, and we've gone about 7 miles, and we have about 10 or so to go. And we're passing by a series of lakes. And this is a great camp spot we're at here that is right between 2 lakes. And so pretty. And we have a nice log to lean against. So we're setting up for breakfast. We always take our shoes off when we're going to stop for any length of time, just to let our feet rest and air out. This is also a nice spot because there's a little bit of a breeze, and so there's no mosquitoes. So it's a lovely spot for our second breakfast.
This is a beautiful spot. We're right between 2 of the Rosary lakes, and the breeze is keeping the mosquitoes away. And it's one of these places where if we weren't on a bit of a schedule, I'd want to say, let's just stay here for the night, even though we've only hiked, 6 miles. Because it's just such a beautiful place. And a beautiful campsite, too. A lot of level spaces. A lot of people could camp in here.
There's benches.
Yeah, someone made a bench. There's a lot of fire rings. Can't use fire rings right now. I don't know if anybody ever gets to use these legally anymore. But we see a lot of fire rings at these campsites. Yeah, it's a very well built up fire ring, but
we're going to Bobby Lake for water and lunch and a rest.
this is Bobby Lake. Good sized lake. Wonder if there are any fish in it. We're going to have our lunch, rest break, lunch stop. Be here about an hour. We did about 17 miles today, which is the most we've done in a while. So I think we both felt the mileage a little bit. We got this nice flat campsite next to this big pile of rocks. And hopefully everything will go well tonight. We'll be undisturbed and our food will be okay, and get up in the morning and do it again. The mosquitoes are thick as thieves out here. this morning. We're all packed up, ready to hit the trail, trying to run away from them.
The mosquitoes are bad this morning. We just resorted to putting on the bug nets. We've already been spraying, we use an herbal bug spray, so I don't feel as bad about putting it on my face. It's just got peppermint and citronelle and some other herbs and things in it, and it works fairly well. You have to reapply it a lot. But anyway, we put that on our... I just killed one on my hand. We put that on our face and hands, and we're wearing our sweater, which is kind of warm, for more protection. But that one still landed on my hand. And so we just stopped and put on our bug nets. It's bad.
This looks so much to me like a person leaning against the tree as we approached. I expected that to be what it is, but look what it is. It's just the trunk of the tree kind of bent. Oh, what an optical illusion.
I don't know if this shows it, but I've got the camera inside my mosquito netting so you could see what our view is walking down the trail, looking through this screen.
This is Charlton Lake, where we've entered a burn zone, which we think we're going to be in for several miles. This side of the lake is burned. The other side wasn't burned. It's a nice looking lake. Back into the burned area. As I said, it's probably going to be several miles. I think we heard 6. It's not completely burned. Fortunately, there's some green. And one thing the burn seems to do is give us some relief from the mosquitoes. So it's not all bad. We have a bit of a breeze blowing. Right now it's really not all that hot. So it's not unpleasant being here. No mosquitoes and a cooling breeze. But the burned area is kind of depressing. I think there used to be a live forest here.
So many burns. I think this one was in 2022, and we've heard it was very, very hot, and that's why there's so little standing in this little section right here, is that it was just so hot. I feel like the ground is just all ash. The ground is just a bunch of ash. Desolate. It was so hot it just burned it all down. Life in a desolate place. This is the first flower I've seen in this desolate place, but isn't that wonderful? Life coming back. Oh, hey, I see a couple flowers up there. Some white ones.
We stopped for a late second breakfast at Irish Lake. Looks like a good sized lake. And this actually, there's a road. It's accessible by road. There's There's a car parked over here, Toyota 4Runner. So you could bring a canoe or a rowboat or something up here if you wanted to come up here to fish. Again, I don't know whether these lakes have fish in them or not, whether they stock them or they've got fish that are just living in them. But looks like a nice lake. There's an island in the middle with a tree growing on it. We got out of the burned area, and the woods that we've been hiking through have been pretty, but they've been very buggy as well. This is Stormy Lake. We're planning on taking a lunch break here. We've had good luck with lakes because they've tended to be less buggy, but I don't know, this one doesn't look very large. So I don't know if it's going to have the breezes that some of the others have had that have seemed to keep the bugs away.
So we need to get some water to take to our camp, which we're camping about 3 miles from here. And it's on a pond, but it probably isn't that great of water. So we're going to get some extra water here. This whole section we've been doing is has a lot of beautiful lakes. They're really pretty, but I don't like getting water out of lakes. There's usually a lot of things floating on the surface, especially near the edge where you're trying to get the water, and a lot of times even floating, suspended in the water. So it's always better to get your water from a moving water source, but sometimes you can't help it. So anyway, Grits is walking very carefully out there, trying not to stir up the sand and sediment, and try to get some water in our water bag that isn't full of stuff. But I think he needs to go further out because I still see floaties where he is on the surface. He needs to go out there where it's that pretty green.
We have this big beast on top of our tent. King of the mountain, king of the hill, master of all these surveys. This seemingly idyllic scene is where we're camping tonight. Seemingly because you don't see the swarms of mosquitoes and other bugs that are around here. I'm going to get into the tent now, and hopefully we won't be bothered by them until morning.